I had a close call with a car this week when using a shared path, and I thought it would be a good idea to dig into what happened to see if there are any design, engineering or human factors lessons that we can learn. Here's the background. There's a shared path that runs along the South Perth foreshore. There are a few car parks along the way, and the shared path, the thing in pink, crosses them at a number of locations. In 2022, the local council changed the priority at 3 of these crossings, so that drivers now have to give way to pedestrians and cyclists on the path. Here's some video from 2021 showing what the crossings used to be like. Cyclists clearly had to give way to vehicle traffic on the road. The path twisted around on nearing each road crossing to force cyclists to slow down and look for approaching vehicles. The new look crossings feature a raised platform constructed out of red asphalt with a green path across the top. They've also got shark's teeth markings and the usual give way pavement markings, and of course a give way sign. On the lead up to the crossing, there's also signs warning of cyclists and pedestrians crossing ahead. Apart from adding flashing lights, I really don't see what else the council traffic engineers could have done to alert drivers to the fact that they need to give way. Now I'm just going to talk for the next 4 minutes without a script because I can't be bothered writing one, so please bear with me. So what you can see here is how the path curves around as you're approaching these crossings, which I think is quite a good idea. Like I said, it forces you to scrub off your speed so you're not belting across these things and surprising drivers as you pop out from maybe behind things. And we'll actually see that in a minute when I go back and ride on the road and have a look at the sight lines from the driver's perspective. Now, we're coming up to the intersection here. You can see there's this dark coloured car approaching from the left, and they just carry on straight across the crossing, slowed down at the very last minute when they saw me, but otherwise had no intention of stopping there. And I think she was completely surprised that she was meant to give way there. So I went and got the good camera out and rode up to 2 of these crossings just to see what it's like from the perspective of a driver. Now my concern here is those parked cars up the end there are potentially going to block the sight lines of a driver seeing cyclists approaching from the left or right. But as long as you're taking it easy, that shouldn't be a problem. And you can see from here as we're approaching, driving out of this car park, you can see a cyclist from miles away, absolutely no issues with sight lines. And you can also see all the work that they've done on that hump and that crossing to make it pretty visible to drivers that they need to give way to people on the crossing. Now this is the problem crossing. Okay, see a cyclist coming, the driver stops. We just went past a sign warning of people crossing ahead. There's a give way sign, there's lots of other stuff, and look at how much more slowly these drivers are going. And I think that's the key thing. If drivers approach this at 50 kilometers an hour or so, then yeah, they're going to have a problem. But what I observed is drivers driving around at quite sensible speeds. And when they do that, they've got time to look and they've got time to stop. Now, that wasn't me dropping the camera. I wanted to show you the brickwork there, because obviously this kind of brickwork is put down on road surfaces when you're approaching pedestrianised areas and when you want drivers to slow down. And clearly this entire intersection is being treated with that. So it just kind of, again, is dumbfounding. That's another signal to a driver that there's something going on. Now that driver thought I was going to cross the shared path and they stopped and waited for me. I actually had to wave them across. That just shows at the other end of the spectrum, there's drivers that are so courteous and they're so caring that if they see you within 20 meters of the crossing, they wave you across. Now that lady on the bike there, obviously she approached quite slowly and carefully, made eye contact with the driver. They sorted out that the driver of the car was in fact going to stop, and off she went, waves, and it was all good. And the only way I avoided a collision here is I could see this driver was not slowing down and not looking, and so I braked. Now you might say, well, why not run the shared path around the back end of the car park along the foreshore rather than where it's going? Well, I think that'd be really problematic. But interestingly enough, over in the town of Cambridge, they're actually going to spend $500,000 ripping out some car parks where drivers have to cross an existing shared path to get into them. And that's what I'm going to cover in the next video, because I think that's a really interesting concept. And Could we ever see that happening in Sydney? I don't know. But I'm going to go and have a look and talk about it as well.